What's up guys, Sub-Zeric here, back for another VOD review. Today we got something really fun. This is a comp that I did not know actually existed until I was looking at the MetaTFT VOD library and saw a couple of people playing it to pretty good success. So this is either just a crazy, strange comp that a couple of people found success with, or it's sleeper OP. We'll be the judge of that after we watch this VOD. I have not watched this VOD through. I just know that this player, Canbizz, played this comp. If you guys don't know Canbizz, really strong player on EU West. He's played in a lot of tournaments. I definitely remember his name because he was at Vegas and did very well, but he's done well in other European tournaments as well. So yeah, just a very strong player that plays on EU West, which I've said in the past that I think, you know, EU is not the strongest region in TFT, but they do have some fantastic players. Wet Jungler did very well at Worlds, double 61, you know, a Worlds winner in TFT. So yeah, it's no, that not everybody in EU sucks, just some people in EU suck. And some people are very good, like Canbizz. All right, Prismatic opener here, and Canbizz takes something pretty interesting. I do know what he takes first here, and that is Prismatic Ticket. So already he says, I am playing a reroll comp, and he gets this Teemo pair to start with. So you might say, okay, this is a Teemo reroll game, but I swear to you, unless you guys know more than me, and you know, like if you guys know more than me and I'm an idiot, then fair enough. But this is not the Teemo comp that I am used to. This is not 4 Bruiser 4 trick shot Teemo. This is not even the vertical bruiser Teemo that some people have been talking about. This is a completely different version of Teemo, and yeah, Canbizz throws it into the planner. This is Lux, Teemo, Shen reroll. Now, why these 3 units? I'm still kind of trying to figure it out myself. They obviously fit together very well when you throw in a live plus a move on the board. This makes a really pretty synergy tree. And one of these units, Amumu, is exalted, so it's not necessarily for that. There's also just kind of the upside of the synergy between Teemo and Lux's abilities. Teemo's going to bounce shrooms to the backline. Lux is potentially going to hit a little bit of backline. So there's maybe the idea that Lux and Teemo can together assassinate a backliner. I think maybe this is the idea behind the comp. Really, I've never seen this. We get Artifact Anvil here, and I know Canbizz was definitely looking for a Blightning Jewel here if possible. Mana Zane, probably the next best option for someone like Teemo, who's a really low mana cost unit. But yeah, ideally we'd pick up a Blightning Jewel here because it's so nice on Teemo. We get a few extra rerolls here, so we're just going to use those to roll down. And I mean, this is our setup. It's fine. It's not amazing. We have to go against this person here who has a 3-item Ahri with Radiant Blue buff, which is pretty scary. So we're certainly going to lose a lot early game, right? We're down a combat augment. This augment is going to fuel our rerolls, especially on stage 3, but we don't really have a lot of combat strength right now, and it's fine. We want to lose streak early so that we can potentially pick up something like a blue buff off Carousel. We actually can't get that blue buff, which feels really bad, which sends Canbizz kind of in a frenzy looking around, okay, what am I going to pick up off of this Carousel? I think something like a blue buff Mana Zane and then some kind of damage item, ideally like a Death Cap, is probably BIS when you have something like Mana Zane. Now we end up picking up a Giant's Belt here, which with these other components is kind of interesting. You could always make something like a Nashor's Tooth onto Teemo. The sets like it a lot, though I'm a little bit afraid of the Nashor's Tooth Mana Zane sort of anti-synergy. We're going to be casting so much, do we really care that much about the attack speed from Nashor's? And Canbizz is going to say, yeah, I don't care about that right now. I'm just going to slam nothing, lose streak here, but still hold on to these Luxes and hold on to the Shen. Yeah, there's also the idea of maybe like a Guard Breaker. You go like Static Shiv as well, which is a great item in a comp like this that's double AP. The problem with making something like Static Shiv is it gets rid of your tier, which you would really like to have later down the line. Canbizz has to sell something here to make gold. He ends up just selling the Shen pair because I guess he's not that interested in getting a Shen 3 this. I mean, I think he certainly wants a Shen 3 this game, but he'd rather hold on to the Luxes rather than the Shen there, which is kind of interesting to me. I kind of would think Lux would be the 3rd most important. Teemo is your main carry, Shen's your main tank, and then Lux is kind of like a support carry. But he actually prioritizes the Lux pair over the Shen, which is quite interesting. It might be that he's not that confident that he can hit a Shen 3, because I would say Shen is the most contested unit out of all of these. I would say Lux and Teemo are very uncontested. Also, sorry about the VOD pausing a little bit. It's because of this stupid Twitch thing that I use that grabs the VODs. But it's okay. It happens like once every 10,000 years, so it's like, yeah, just pretend like you're watching on a computer that's like a little bit older than the one that you have, and then it'll feel like right at home. There's a blue buff for Teemo, and maybe a Warmogs. Okay, a Warmogs feels a little bit better now that we get an extra belt, and maybe, I mean, we kind of are forced to build a Warmogs now, right? And I like a blue buff a lot in this scenario. He's looking at maybe Static Shiv, though. Yeah, I think you have to go the blue buff here. The synergy with something like Mana Zane is so nice because you're getting all of this raw mana that's going to filter through the fact that now your ability only costs 20 mana. I mean, how many casts do you get off Mana Zane here? 4, 5 casts off of Mana Zane, and the initial cast, like, yeah, this Teemo is just going to cast infinitely at the start of the fight, and we really just like some kind of damage item on him now, which it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what our items end up being. Item-wise, or augment-wise here, I like healing orbs onto like a super tank like Shen. We gotta take something defensive. We're gonna go Exiles here, which, yeah, is the other solid defensive augment. It means you can't really position for Sivir. I think I would have preferred healing orbs here, but for whatever reason, Canbizz wants the Exiles just raw HP here. I mean, the raw HP is really, really nice with something like the Warmogs here. We're already getting all that raw HP from Warmogs that scales up Exiles, so it kind of makes sense. And he is looking at the Nashers here, and yeah, he does end up making it. Like I said, I'm a little scared of this because I don't know that the Nashers is going to be doing that much for Teemo. I mean, obviously he's going to get a bunch of attack speed, but I don't think you can stack it up on itself. I don't think like double cast gives you double the attack speed. I think it just refreshes that buff, which is a little awkward. But hey, we have a bunch of free rerolls from our augment here. We're getting a lot of stuff onto this board, and we're building out pretty much everything. We just don't have the Amumu yet, which would go in over the Garen. That's going to give us Porcelain, but you can see the board kind of fits together, right? And these are just fantastic units, right? I think part of the reason why this comp works is that just the quality of Alawi and Shen as ghostly tanks, the utility, damage utility, I guess, of ghostly, along with the fact that Shen is just a fantastically tanky unit. I think that's why this comp works, but like I said, I have never seen this comp before. I just saw that Canbizz played it and saw they did well with it, and then I saw that Baby Iguana also played it and did well with it, and I thought, okay, is this the real deal? Am I just gonna have to turn on my stream today and it's 20 out of 20 Teemo reroll? I mean, it certainly sounds fun to play. I love me a Teemo comp. We're gonna pick up the Kale here off of Storyweaver. This actually does not disable Exiles, which is an interesting little factoid here. And ooh, this player's holding on to some Amumus, which is really annoying for us. But yeah, we're gonna throw the Zoe onto our board right now because it's slightly storing the Lux until we find the Amumu, and I mean, maybe even after. But yeah, as you can see, Teemo still gets an Exile shield. The Sivir still gets an Exile shield. For some reason, Kale isn't an Exile, like, disabling unit. I'm not really sure how they choose what units. I guess it's just all the fake units that aren't, like, real units don't disable the Exile shield, but they can't. They can get Exile shield if you exile them. Canbizz here saying, I play Lux, calling his comp at 3-6, basically, holding on to 5 Luxes, saying, look, I need to play around this Lux, and he is just going to put Lux onto his board along with the Nautilus, saying this is a little bit stronger. We're going to drop out of the synergy, but we get to play a Lux too, and we get to play a Nautilus on our board, which I could certainly see it. There's also, it's funny that there's this player who's holding onto Teemos right now, because I feel like Teemo is one of the least contested units as far as reroll comps. I would never be afraid of being contested at Teemo reroll, but there's actually somebody playing around it right now. Pick up a KC here, which might end up coming on our board later. Pick up some extra Sivers who, hey, maybe it's a Sivir 3 angle, but Canbizz is immediately going to say, I don't care about Sivir 3. I'm not spending gold on that. It is a very, very small addition to the attack speed that Sivir grants, and we're not even clumping for her, so I think this makes sense. Finally, pick up the Amumu, so that's going straight on the board, and now, with our augment here, I do feel like we should roll pretty deep. We should ideally roll and hit a lot of our 3 stars this round, and yeah, I love this send from Canbizz here, and then the stop right there until he decides to roll one more time for the Lux. He's even thinking about continuing to roll there. Makes Onyx Spark Steadfast, fantastic items here. Guarantees the MR Shred and Steadfast, which is an okay item onto Alawi. It's certainly one that you could think a little bit more about just because she's already a Warden. She already has that damage reduction, so stacking damage reduction on damage reduction isn't good. It's just not beneficial to stack that same kind of stat. Martyr here. Magic Wand is going to be the pickup for Canbizz here, and he is going to roll down and pick up the Teemo 3. So yeah, just wants the extra AP onto these units. I think it makes actually, the more I think about it, we already have Exiles, so I think he's going to be confident in his board having enough frontline, and he really just wants some AP onto this Teemo, who really does not have an AP item whatsoever. The Rod item can also end up being a Lux item, maybe a Morello, if you care a lot about being a peel cut. Another interesting thing about this setup is that we ended up itemizing the Alawi, we found Shen 3, and now we just have a 0-item Shen 3 on the board, which is not something you see every day. Alawi is a monster of a tank, though, so I wonder if you just play Shen 3 for the utility of his ability, though we're not really positioning Shen where he's going to, like, ult everybody else. It's another reason why Exiles is kind of awkward in this spot. We can't, like, put Shen in the middle of people or Mumu in the middle of people. This is honestly a comp that I would expect Exiles to not be too good in, though the upside is obviously that we have all of these really, really high HP units because we rerolled them. But this is the board. We got to it, and we're itemizing allow. You gotta look at some more boards of this comp, because like, are you supposed to? Yeah, he's trying to figure out how we can get value out of this Amumu, out of this Shen, even though he has exiles, which I like. This is very creative. The Amumu then walks up in the middle of these guys. Shen gets an ult off that's also affecting Amumu, and yeah, you get Amumu healing onto the Alawi and onto the Shen. Really, really nice stuff from Canbizz here, and he picks up a dub. So we are on a 6-win streak here, and at this point, we're just looking to push levels. The next question becomes, okay, what do you play as you push levels? It would make a lot of sense to play a Behemoth on this board. I've seen some people play like Ornn. I saw like a 4 Warden, and then maybe you can fit Ornn in after that, so that you get the Warden for the Shen, but then you can also play Gnar as a Warden, which is going to activate Dryad. I don't know if Canbizz is going to end up going that route this game, especially because Shen isn't really our main tank. We're actually main tanking Alawi, and Shen is just a funny guy on our board. But hey, we can level 4 the Behemoth now. It doesn't cost us too much gold, and yeah, we get to play this Yorick, which is, I mean, a fine unit. He's actually going to swap it out for the Cho'Gath here, which actually makes a lot of sense, right? Cho'Gath provides the wound that we kind of lack on our board, so that's actually some nice utility that we can get out of a unit that's, you know, a lower cost than the Yorick. This also allows us to make 30 gold, which is another big plus to playing this guy here. But yeah, he's looking at the Ornn, he's looking at the Nautilus, just getting more traits in that benefit our main tanks. He's also considering this Exalted here, which is, looks like he got it in. It was the Cho'Gath actually fits, and it's also this Ahri here. So he thinks, okay, I could potentially cut Exalted, or I could potentially cut a unit and play the Ahri. It's kind of awkward. I seriously doubt that we're going to cut a Lux 3. Why did we spend all this time going for Lux 3 if we're going to cut her immediately? But it's certainly an idea. And I mean, you see this comp. We are just bowling through people. 54 HP, full win streak here, using the Prismatic Ticket to just hit our board at the beginning of stage 4. And Teemo is not to be reckoned with. Teemo is a monster in fights like these. So you can see where the strength of the comp actually comes with. It's just this Teemo and Lux duo carrying, killing enemy backliners, and you have the additional frontline of these ghostly frontliner units. We are going to finally fit the Ahri into the board here on level 8 here, actually pick up a 2-star Cho'Gath, which is going to be pretty nice to just sit on the board. He does pick up an Ornn, though I don't know exactly how he's going to fit. Got to be Shojin JG, I would think. Yep, just 2 fantastic items for Lux. Our items ended up really, really nice this game. But yeah, Lux is going to snipe that Soraka, and then Teemo throws the Shroom and finishes her off. Now Lux snipes a unit that Teemo finishes it off. This is a really cool setup. It kind of reminds me of like Lilia Morgana, where Morgana is hitting like backline clumps, and then Lilia is also throwing her orbs at backline, and so like they can do double duty to just like snipe backliners. And yeah, it's kind of like the 2-cost reroll version of Lilia Morgana, where you have the Teemo and the Lux doing double duty sniping backliners. This is really cool, and the synergies actually fit decently well. The only thing that's kind of awkward is the fact that we just have this random Sivir on our board that just ends up stranded. Eventually, I guess that becomes like a Xayah. Ooh, this is a matchup that's probably pretty difficult for us unless Lux gets a good ult off. The Kayn just runs forward, so we can't really snipe backline because the front line is what we care about here. And this is not a very front-to-back comp. This is more of like a kill backline and then kill frontline comp. So yeah, that's a tough matchup for us. We're also pretty low single target. Teemo's bouncing shrooms around the entire board, so it's, and then Lux is not really good at, you know, killing units on the front line. So yeah, that looks like a tough matchup for this board. We're going to end up fighting a not Kindred reroll. This is really a Syndra board that never really ended up hitting Syndra. So, I mean, pretty fortunate that we can fight a board like this who hasn't really hit their main carry yet. And yeah, we just end up sniping the backline. This is a pretty good board for us, even though it's a little scary with something like Mulched. You might be afraid that you wouldn't be able to kill all of the backliners because they'd be tanky. Ooh. We do see another Ornn item this late into the game. This is really scary for us because we're just going to get the scraps here. Maybe a Zanya's onto Lux or a Lightning Jewel onto Lux. He is just going to end up going to Zanya's. Man, it would be or that's Forbidden Idol, right? I'm still these items. It's still a work in progress in memorizing the icon because they added so many. If you hover over them, he got an Unending Despair here, which is this shield one that deals extra damage, and so. He's thinking about putting it onto the Cho'Gath. Yeah, he throws it onto the Cho'Gath here because at least Cho'Gath does shield himself. It's actually really, really awkward. I thought he picked up the Zanya's one there, but maybe he picked it. I'm losing my mind. I thought for sure he had Zanya's there, but okay. Unending Despair. It's a decent item. I don't know so much about throwing it onto a random Cho'Gath too, but I mean, you know, a little bit of magic damage. We got the Ionic Spark for the magic damage shred, so there's something there. It's also interesting. It looks like we're converting this into a 3-cost reroll comp as well because of our augment. You roll down for all of these 2 costs, and then you have the bonus objective of going for stuff like a Mumu 3, like a Laui 3. These are really contested units in the current meta, so it's going to be a lot harder to actually pick up those units. Probably why we're more interested in going for something like a Shen 3, but it is certainly something that you can think about in this setup. Is you just pick up a random Mumu 3, and he'll be a lot of extra frontline on your board. There is a Lissandra, which looks like it's something that we're looking at getting in here. Not really sure. I mean, she's 4 Arcanist, great, and she's a 3rd Porcelain, which is a little bit awkward. I mean, she kind of fits on the board to some degree. She's definitely not like a perfect fit Lissandra here that's doing everything. We do pick up Nartu, so looks like we're considering getting out of Exalted, though at level 9, I'd be shocked if we do. There's some more Amumus for potentially a Mumu 3, and yeah, he gives up on the Lissandra idea, gets the Ornn in here, actually, and he does end up getting out of Exalted here, and we just pivot. This gives us a better spot to put that on Ending Despair. We can throw it onto Ornn, who's actually going to have decently sized shields, so I could see it. And yeah, we play this version. This is what I was talking about. So maybe this is just the final version of the comp. Usually, is you play around 4 Warden, you throw an Ornn onto your board, you get Dryad in. Stage 6 Dryad is not really something to be proud of, but it kind of fits. And yeah, we just get to play the 4 Warden. I'm so interested in this. Like, this is a comp, and it seems like there's actually something to it. Like, you see that this board is just, I mean, look, this is a Lilia Morgana board. This will be a great test for our board because this should be a reasonable matchup for us. Ooh, look at that snipe onto the Morgana. Look at the duo carry of the Teemo plus the Lux. Just the Lilia and Morgana can't deal with it. We're just sniping their backline when they're the ones supposed to be sniping our backline. But yeah, like, the comp makes theoretical sense as far as what units you have on the board. It still is very strange to me that we have a Shen 3 with no items. Maybe you just normally itemize the Shen 3 and you don't itemize the Alawi, and we just ended up itemizing the Alawi this game and it was strange. But it's such a, I guess it's hard because you don't want to sell an Alawi 2 once you get so late into the game. Alawi 2 is just a monster, just to move items to a Shen 3 who's solid, but Alawi is such a monster. And yeah, the only time we move, oh my god, the Lux actually wins that fight. The only time we move items is once we find the Amumu 3. That was such a close fight. We're looking for last Ornn item here, I guess. Adaptive Helm. He's going for a Redemption also. For some reason, I thought he had a Redemption. But yeah, Redemption, fantastic item. It's a little onto a set, but can we even hit set? I mean, I guess you can cut the Nautilus for set, but I mean, it's actually kind of close. Certainly, if you find Nautilus 2, you're not cutting it for the set. So we'll just use our free rerolls here and see what we end up hitting. Actually, no Nautilus 2 here. And we do end up picking up the Xayah, which, yeah, like I said, will eventually make sense. Who cares about Sivir this late into the game, right? The Xayah is actually just going to do, I mean, still not that much damage, but a little bit of damage. We end up actually potentially on the right side here. Our Teemo lives a really long time, but he sadly can't get through all of this stuff. So these fights are getting a little sketchy. We do end up picking up a Laui too. And yeah, it's hard. Even with all this frontline, it seems. I mean, this is such a hard matchup for us, right? Like I said, we want to be sniping backline, but there's no backline to snipe here. So Lux is just a really awkward carry into these melee boards. He's actually going to move Teemo to the middle here, try to throw shrooms on this front line, and also maybe Lux can then catch the same unit that Teemo's catching. This is really smart stuff. The Kayn walks to backline, ooh, then wraps onto the Teemo. Our Lux is still alive, though. A Mumu cast here. Oh my god, actually, one more Lux cast and we do win this fight, right? Oh my god, the Lee Sin actually gets past the Lux, but she gets a cast up. Look at this damage, by the way. 10k from Lux, a little bit over 9k for the Teemo. These units are not bad. These units are not bad at all. This is just such a cool comp, right? Like, I have not seen anybody play this comp on NA, but I saw 2 people play it, Canbizz and Baby Iguana. So maybe this is like the secret tech that, you know, EU is saving to destroy North America in the next international tournament, which actually there is one coming up really, really soon, which is interesting. That was a wild play. The Reforge item there, and he ends up with a Sunfire cape. He does find a Xayah. I mean, it'd be interesting to itemize the Xayah, or I mean, that was a crazy play, but I mean, hey, we got some heal cut. That's actually pretty nice. We kind of need that. It's probably one of the best items we could get. Also, farming the Ornn item onto the Shen. It looks like we're gonna have enough frontline with the Sunfire and the Ornn item onto Shen, and yeah, it's gonna be the dub for Canbizz here with this crazy Teemo Lux duo carry or reroll aboard. So I hope you guys enjoyed this game, because this comp looks wild to me. Let me know if you guys have played this comp at all, because like I said, this is the first time I'm seeing it, but it looks so cool. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my Twitch and all my other links down below. Thanks for watching.